I've got a son, he's 6, I want to be best friends with him. I want to be pals with him. Why is that so wrong?
No, that's fine. You can be friendly with him, but if you think that's your only role as a parent, then I feel sorry for you, because in the end, your son won't want to be friends with you. What your son needs is love, care, support, and you can provide that support for him by establishing rules and routines within your house, which in the end will mean a lot more for him than just being a friend. You will, by being a parent, be modelling what it means to be a man, to be a parent, and he'll be able to copy you when hopefully one day he's a parent. But just being a friend to your son is really a road to hell.
But can you not be both? Can you not be a friend and be strict?
Yeah, you can. That's absolutely fine. I mean, that's what most good parents try to do. But in the end, you need to prioritise being a parent and what that means, and sometimes, of course, it means not being a friend.
And Jennifer House, co-founder of Brit Mums, do you have to have one without the other? Can you be a parent and a best friend, for example?
Absolutely. It's eminently sensible. Parents need to set limits. They need to make kids eat their vegetables and do their homework. But we've come a long way from the Victorian, authoritarian parent, especially dad. And we've got members all over the UK. And they all say they want to have that close, engaged relationship with their kids. Sometimes it's important to have that moment with your child where you're not giving them rules, you're not correcting them, you're just enjoying each other's company and getting to know them.
But isn't it mixed signals? I just wonder, you know, I had quite a traditional relationship with my parents. They're probably now my best friends now I'm older. When I was a child, they were definitely my parents. And I'd have found it quite confusing if they're trying to be my best mate 1 minute and then as soon as I do something, they go, hold on a second, and try and discipline me. I probably would have found that quite confusing.
Well, you don't have to relinquish your authority just because you're being friendly with your child. I think that's probably a better way to think about it, is being friendly with your child rather than friends. You're not a peer. You're always still the grown-up. You can be playing in the park. If they start to run out onto the street, you'll stop them. So it is that balance, but absolutely being the parent first has to come first.
Yeah, Jackie, you've got older children who are teenagers, so when they're that age, I would imagine you do become friends with them because you start to have common interests.
But the battles are greater because they have their own opinion, and it's much more of a tough argument. So I'm about to become very unpopular in my house because my son's about to do his GCSEs, so I'll be camped over his shoulder to make sure he does X number of hours revision every day. And he might say, oh, it's fine, Mum, it's fine, I've done it. You know, if I was a friend, I'd go, OK, but I won't be saying OK, I'll say no, do a bit more. So I think there's, in lots of families, good cop and bad cop, and often the mum is the naggy bad cop person and the dad ends up being the fun guy. I mean, maybe that's the point you wanted to make.
Well, I mean, the general point I'm making is that the boys are doing quite badly in this country. You know, at GCSE, boys do much worse than girls, and we need to ask the reason, you know, why is that? Is it that they're less intelligent, or is it actually that they're rather immature? And, you know, we all know that, you know, girls are much more mature at the age of 16 than boys are, and that's true. I mean, you know, women reach full maturity in terms of their brain power at the age of about 22, but for young men it's about 30. Look at last year's university entrance figures. You know, only just over a third of boys got to university, but nearly half of girls. It's a huge and growing gap. Why is that happening? Well, it's because boys aren't being disciplined enough in school and at home, and they're being allowed to do what they want to do, which is to fall behind.
Yeah, that's quite interesting, isn't it? You know, boys need a strong role model, and with that, as Bonnie was saying, comes the discipline, comes knowing the boundaries, because children, particularly as they go into teenage years, will push those boundaries. And some parents, if they want to have that friendly relationship with their child, might let those boundaries sort of edge and edge.
Well, as Jackie was saying, it's a constant battle. I have a young teen myself, and constantly, I can say the sky is blue, and often she will disagree. So, yeah, there is that constant battle. I think we need to remember, though, with children, it's not an equation. It's not good discipline plus love equals perfect child. That you do have to tailor what you're doing with your child for what's going to motivate them, what's going to help them in school, what's going to help them be the person you want them to be and who they want to be themselves.
Barnwell, we haven't got a huge amount of time left, but you've spent a long time in education, a long time seeing children and seeing children with their parents. What advice would you give, given what you've seen in terms of the lack of discipline now amongst boys? What advice would you give to fathers? I
would say, first of all, remember that there's no contradiction between loving your children and being firm and secure with them and establishing rules and supporting your wife in that respect. Remember that children on the whole like rules and discipline. I've been a school teacher for most of my life, and children say to me, or young adults say to me now, I'm so grateful that when you taught me you were strict, because I was by nature lazy, like most teenage boys. And the fact that you forced me to do work has now enabled me to be the success that I am. Parents need to realise that, that children not only need these secure rules, but actually they quite like them. Don't be afraid, in other words, of taking control. And I spoke to a parent the other day whose child was spending too much time on a PlayStation. And I said, well, why don't you just take this PlayStation away? Really, they said, can I do that? And the answer
He's in charge of who?
The answer is, yeah, you're a parent. You can do that.
You're the boss.
Yeah.